Good morning to those who are calling from Australia. I know there's some international people, so it's actually night for you. Welcome to our session. We're going to have an amazing presentation for you about our next upcoming project, which is Serenity Villas America facility in Florida. As you can see, we have the full team. There's 6 presenters for you to share the material, share the knowledge, to answer your questions. Before we start, just to let you know, we want to keep it as interactive as possible. We'd like you to ask the questions. We're going to, in order not to interrupt the flow of the presentation, we're going to ask the questions in the end. So you can type them at any time. I'm going to monitor the evening. I'm going to monitor the presentation. And we'll do Q&A at the end of the presentation. To start with, I'd like to give a short introduction to CFP Group. I believe majority of you are familiar with us, at least heard of us. There are some people, some new people to webinar as well. So just wanted really in 5 minutes to let you know who we are and why we're here. So let me start by showing our mission statement. So CFP Group is pretty much, it's 2 people. My business partner, Ronnie, and me. We started the company 8 years ago in 2015 with the mission to help busy professionals to build generational wealth and achieve financial freedom by passively investing in real estate. So we offer very creative deals, very creative strategies that people who just do not have time or desire to do active real estate investing can participate in. Next slide. This is our business models, really very simple. As you can see on the left side, we work with what I call project sponsors. Normally, these are the people that run different real estate investment opportunities, projects or deals. Typically, they would look for funding or partners, equity partners or money partners in their projects. On the other side, we work with investors. As I mentioned, we work typically mainly with busy professionals. So we've got many engineers, lawyers, doctors investing with us. At the moment, we got over 150 investors in over 6 countries. And these people looking for places to invest. And CFP Group comes in the middle. So on one side, we do due diligence, we do partnership with project sponsors. On the other side, we work with investors who are looking to place funds in various opportunities. These are our methods. I'm not going to cover all. I just will go over the bottom part. So what we do, this pretty much 5 steps. So we typically locate the projects and partners. The next step for us is to perform a due diligence. So the project you're going to be introduced to today, we've been working with this credible team for several months. So it takes a lot of time for us to complete the due diligence because we want to make sure all the opportunities we bring to you are carefully selected. And this is the step number 3. The moment we see the opportunity fits our criteria, we like the team, we like the project sponsors, we offer those opportunities to our investors. We are not the broker. We're not passive brokers, just combine investors and project sponsors. We also actively invest in every project alongside with you. And we represent investors until the project is completed. So until there is a full exit. So our results up until now, we've been using this model since 2017. Up until now, we've completed 8 projects in the past 6 years. We've returned probably tens of millions of dollars to our investors. And at the moment, we got over 10 projects currently running in Canada and the United States. Well, this is what our investors say. As you can see on the left side, we've got 27, almost 30 reviews on Google, 5-star Google reviews. We've got over 2,000 followers on Facebook. So you can see our results. And this is our investment process. So if you come to the webinar, if you like what you see or hear, you can reach out to us. The next step typically is to schedule a strategy call with you. Normally, I do these calls. If you like what you hear, we normally add you to our email list, and then you start getting opportunities. The moment you see an opportunity that fits your criteria, or the location or the strategy, you let us know that you're interested to participate in the project. Then you fill out the legal paperwork. You review the paperwork by yourself with your attorney, your accounting team. The moment the project starts, you're going to get regular project updates from us. until the project is completed. And if you like what you did, if the returns are good for you, you can always reinvest with that. To schedule the strategy session, there is a link on the bottom. I'm going to send the slides to everyone who's registered for the webinar, so no need to copy that. I mean, you're going to get the link. And this is our last slide. On top of doing presentation, we also have an education community called Investors Inner Circle. We get together pretty much every quarter. So those who live in Toronto are willing or interested to come and meet with us. Our next session is going to be on May 9th. It's typically in the evenings, very interactive. Ronnie and I, we just come, educate. There's no sales. It's our way to give back. Also, there is a link on the bottom right. So if you're interested to be part of the community, please join us. It's free. It's completely a sales-free environment, just amazing networking opportunity. So that's it for me. I'm going to bring the next speaker, Sean. Sean Smith is a partner in Belmont Management. This company does construction, property management, and development of various facilities across the United States. So he's going to talk about the project. And I personally believe it's an amazing project. I've been there twice. I visited villages, and to me, it's the happiest place on earth, not the Disney. But, Sean is going to talk more about that. Sean, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Good evening, all. Yes, as Michael mentioned, I'm going to lead off here with talking about Serenity Villas Memory Care Facility in Lady Lake, Florida. I'll be pitching to some of my partners on this as we go through, but I'll take the lead on starting the presentation, giving you a high-level overview of what this investment is. So this slide here is just your typical disclaimer you have with any type of real estate investment like this. And, it talks about invest at your own risk and make sure you review the documents and so forth. As Michael mentioned, this presentation is going out to everybody, so we won't spend a whole lot of time on this if you want to read that on your own time. Of course, if you decide to move forward with this investment, all the disclaimers will come in the project offering documents that you receive. So tonight, we'll give a project overview. We'll talk a little bit about the team, the demand for this type of development and the location. We'll go through the projections some. We'll talk a little bit about our previous developments that we've done, the ones that are related to this. And then we'll also talk about at the end, what is your opportunity here? What type of investment are we offering? And what are you able to take part of with respect to Serenity Villas? So we feel like there's a large unmet demand for memory care housing in the Florida market of Lady Lakes. And we'll get into that in much more detail as we move forward. Pam will present on that. But we intend to meet that demand by building a new construction 120-unit memory care facility. A few of the units have 2 beds, so it'll make up 144 total beds of memory care. And we have designed this in a unique way. It's kind of a pod structure. If you can see the schematic on the bottom right, it is a site plan of the development, has 6 separate buildings, each of those containing units and common space. The schematic on the left shows a building floor plan, how the units are situated with the common space there. And we'll get into a little bit more of that later on as well. So we believe this is a state-of-art facility. Some of the components that we are including in this development with respect to the heating and ventilation system are especially unique, and we feel like a big need given that we've just gone through the COVID pandemic here. So we'll touch on that a little bit. Darren should for us. And finally, we are shovel ready, meaning we own the land. The project's zoned appropriately currently. Permits are ready to be picked up and construction started just as soon as we can get going with that. So we're excited about it. And lastly, I'm going to cover, who we are, who our development team is, and why we think this is a great opportunity for you to join our team. So again, we are shovel ready right now, and we anticipate starting construction in May. And then we expect the construction period for this project to be about a year. So that means we would have a grand opening in May of 2024. We'll start leasing up actively at that time. We'll spend a lot of time pre-leasing and making sure we have qualified folks ready to move in before we complete construction. But the lease up on a development this size and nature usually takes about 2 years to get it fully stabilized. So at that time, in July of 2026, we think this development is going to be worth $46.5 million and have net revenue of $3.2 million. And we'll get into the numbers more specifically on how we arrive at those values. I'm going to skip past this slide and move to the next one, and I'll come back to it. So here's our leadership team, our sponsorship team. Again, as Michael mentioned, myself, Derek Hamilton, and Ryan Hudspeth are partners in Belmont Management, Development, and Construction. So we own and operate about 5,000 units of affordable housing and market rate housing in the Midwest. And about 1,000 of those units are independent living units. And all of them, have some type of government financing associated with them. So we're very used to owning and operating properties that have a lot of regulations and require a lot of oversight and just a ton of attention to detail to make sure we keep those financing sources secured and continue to develop using those sources in the future as well. I'm not going to touch on everybody here, but I'll touch on a few, especially the ones on this call. Jasmine Greenow, she's what I like to call our quarterback of the team. She kind of keeps this project moving forward, keeps us all moving in the right direction, working on securing financing from all aspects. And so she'll talk about the projections a little bit later. Jasmine has over 20 years experience in the real estate industry, owning retail, commercial, multifamily housing. She's been a consultant on over $300 million of real estate transactions in her 20-year history. Very experienced in real estate industry, and she's responsible for putting this team together. It is a big team. We all have various backgrounds. We think that's an asset to this because we understand various components of real estate, whether it be construction, engineering, development management. We have Billy Woodring on the team that also owns and operates a management company for multifamily real estate. So next, Pam Dillon. She's definitely one of our A-team members on our team. She has the most experience of our team in doing memory care facilities, over 30 years experience operating independent living, memory care, Alzheimer. Essentially anything that has to do with senior living, Pam's done it and done it well. So she will be our operator on this project. She's very involved in the upfront process, making sure that we're planning ahead of time and doing it right from the get-go. So we value Pam's knowledge and experience in this development very much. And Darren Asdale is also on the call with us. Darren has an architecture background. Darren's also going to be a co-developer on this project with us. He's what I like to call our boots on the ground. He's local. He'll be visiting the site very often, making sure that construction's going as it should, and keeping all of the sponsorship team abreast of what's going on and offering his experience in this. Darren's completed several projects just like this one in the past few years. And we value Darren's input and leadership on this team very much so. So those are kind of the highlights. I'm going to go back to the previous slide and just touch on some of our accomplishments as a team. Again, very big team. So we feel like, again, that's an asset. We own, operate, manage over $900 million in real estate, which equates to about 9,200 units nationally and some internationally as well. So in all aspects of assisted living, memory care, apartments, commercial. So we've touched on all components of real estate over the years and with all of our team members. So we've completed over $3 billion of construction in our history among the team. And 300 million of that includes developments just like this one, memory care and Alzheimer care facilities. So the last two bullets on that, again, are just kind of noting what I had mentioned earlier about Pam having 30 years experience in this business of elder care, and then our award-winning architect, Darren Asdell, as well. Mentioning again that he's also part of our development team in addition to the architectural team. So that's our team. And next, I'm going to pitch it over to Pam to talk about the demand and the location of this project.
Thanks so much, Sean. Just so you all know, behind me, I do not work for the U.S. Post Office. I actually am opening up a building in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and I'm sitting in the independent post office. So just in case you're wondering what in the world's behind me, that's what it is. Want to talk a little bit about Alzheimer's and dementia and this area. And unfortunately, since Sean has met me and Jasmine and our team, I'm 2 years from 40 years experience. I don't want to admit that openly to everyone, but I'm going to come clean. So after almost 40 years of assisted living, independent living, skilled nursing care, and memory care, I worked alongside with Darren, the architect, to design this beautiful building and its layout that will surpass COVID, that will surpass the changing times in healthcare. Alzheimer's is a massive disease in the United States and across the world. But in the United States, you can look at the statistics and the locations of those that are diagnosed with the Alzheimer's / advanced dementia disorder. In Florida alone, the statistics are staggering. The numbers of people on a day-to-day basis over 65 and over 75 that are diagnosed with the Alzheimer's and advanced dementia disease. Although those are very sad numbers, we have come up with a program and a design that will facilitate the best and most optimal care for those diagnosed with with the disease, with Alzheimer's. The activities, the dining, the actual square footage, everything within the design of our structure has been researched, double-checked, triple-checked, and just a bit of information. I've been in over 3,600 healthcare facilities, assisted, independent, and memory at this point in my life. So I have a team of experts. We all pulled together. Let's talk a little bit about Lady Lake and the area that we're in, the villages. The diagnosis of Alzheimer's is so high in Florida. And if you've done some research or haven't had a chance to do any research, the villages is highly populated with over 65 years of age persons. I think Lax counted it was 67% of the population in the villages is over 65. And then you can get into the higher statistics, which is about 14% last counted that have surpassed even 65 to 75, and then you go into the 85. So the population is there. It's vast. The numbers of people that are over 65 and that are treading into that territory, that timeline of Alzheimer's and advanced dementia. So the area itself facilitates multiple clients. The area itself facilitates this style of cottage for our client. The facility itself is ready for anything that COVID throws at us and whatever is next in a disease and cross-contamination world. So we are ready. We have a vast number of clients. There are other buildings in the area that do provide memory care. I'm not going to say they're advanced Alzheimer's specialists, but a memory care facility can be considered a facility that houses or secures people that have the disease, but may not be providing the programs, the activities, the services that we are going to provide in this building. And again, there's been a lot of research and time that have gone into this project. So aside from the population, aside from the advanced population, aside from the area, we are extremely excited for this project to be built as a company. I don't know who I'm passing it to, but I think I'm passing it back to Sean, and then Sean can introduce the next person. The market study, if you want to go back to the market study, it lists all the buildings that provide both independent and memory and their rates. And again, you've got to look at the definition of what type of memory care or Alzheimer's care these buildings are providing. Fortunately, I've been in every one of these buildings, and I, beyond a shadow of a doubt, will tell you that our services will far surpass what's being provided in this area.
Thanks, Pam.
You're very welcome.
Darren, are you in a position to see the screen and kind of walk through the slides, or you want me to help you with that?
I'm ready.
Okay, fire away. Let's talk about the site.
That's great. So the Villages itself is located in Central Florida. It encompasses 3 different counties, 3 of the largest growing counties in the state of Florida, mainly because of the Villages itself. The Villages is a private community, was developed by 2 individuals over 30 years ago, and has grown to its current population of almost 150,000 people rather. And as Pamela has pointed out, most of those are seniors. So it's a very unusual market. It's one of the it's one of a kind in the United States. The location of our site, as you'll see, is right in the middle of the Villages. The city has expanded to where it has 3 downtowns now, with a 4th one planned to the south of the site. The project is located in the little yellow dot there on the screen. And that you'll see to the north of there, the first city center, and to the west of it, the second city center, and clear to the south of the page is the third city center. So the largest city center is right across the street from the project, and that is currently expanding out. You'll see some green fields there to the south. The reason I'm in a car is because I literally just left the site. It has been cleared and prepared for the project to move forward. And along with that, there's a development across the street that will bring additional retail and other services to help support our site further, which was just announced. So the Villages itself is increasing in size. The site is 13 acres of a 30-acre permitted development that has senior living uses only. Those include medical office, independent assisted living, which are all feeders to a memory care program. And none of those facilities will have memory care. So this will be exclusive to this location. The environment is very natural. It's planned to have walking paths, memory care gardens that are secured. for each individual cottage, and it's designed for what we're calling high acuity and full ADA accessibility. The idea behind the clubhouse or behind the cottage model is that if you have multiple cottages, you have the ability to serve multiple different or varying levels of care and acuity. In other words, you might have persons with severe dementia and some with just light dementia or memory care issues. This allows you to have more specialized services in different buildings and different types. And then we have a common clubhouse, which we generally build after we've constructed 6 or more cottages, that has a full service kitchen, dining facilities, and operation staff, as well as continuous marketing and sales opportunities. Next slide, please. So the facility itself, each of the cottages you'll see are arranged around a common living element where food can be served. Actually, food can be prepared in each cottage, and each unit has the ability to have private accommodations as well as dual occupancy for couples who may have varying levels of care. And those the dual occupancies are located in the corners of the building diagram that you're seeing. And you can see each of the green areas are restroom type facility or restrooms with full showers. Again, every unit is fully accessible for those with disabilities. This is unique to really most communities in Florida. Most have just a small percentage of them that are fully accessible with wheelchairs. Ours will be 100% accessible. And then again, the blue areas are common areas that also extend to the exterior into privately but secured garden areas that we call memory care gardens, and they're full of plants and trees that are all safe for residents to be around, and creates a more calming and gentle environment that is also on the exterior, something that most facilities do not have in Florida. And during COVID, this became an issue. So this is what we're calling COVID and COVID visiting ready. Each building has 20 units total, and has the ability to have up to 24 residents in them. The modularity of each of the buildings allows for lower risk in development. It takes a lot shorter time period for the construction of the building. And then the compartmentalization of each individual building has proven to be worthwhile construction, particularly again in cases of COVID, where in the state of Florida, they've limited the amount of neighborhoods, as we call them, with residents to 24. So these buildings are already ready for that law that's about to be enacted. So next slide, please. So each building, like I mentioned, is what we're calling COVID ready, and a lot of that is due to its sustainable design. Each of the cottages is capable of being LEED certified or greater. This not only comes with tax credit availability in terms of receiving grants and other low interest loans, but it also has the ability to reduce the overall operational cost. Each resident is equipped with its own air system. Those air systems operate at a 30% efficiency over any other air conditioning that you might see in a typical hotel. Not only does this help protect the air quality for our residents who typically have respiratory conditions, but it also lowers the ambient noise. And if any of us or all of us who've stayed in hotels and know the air conditioning comes on and freezes us and then bakes us and then wakes us up every when it goes on and off, this is incredibly important in seniors to not have those types of fluctuations, which can cause sickness and pneumonia. So having a system that runs continuously, that removes humidity from the room, provides a constant temperature, can both save energy and provide for the benefit of our residents. It also allows us to interject systems into play that treat our fresh air systems, and that system has been developed for NASA for use in the space station and all the shuttle flights. And that system has the capability of reducing mold and other contaminants, and happens to also kill the COVID virus. And this not only kills the viruses in the air, but also on surfaces. So this reduces the level of spread, or the ability for such viruses to spread, making this facility really state of the art. And to add to all of this, the building is designed with low or no VOCs, volatile organic compounds, in the construction materials, which also helps with respiratory conditions. These are all very, very high marketing elements in an environment such as Florida, making our project look much more appealing than anyone else's. Next slide, please. So from the amenities side, there's a number. I've already pointed out that each unit is fully ADA compliant. We chose a craftsman style architecture, which appeals to residents as being more home-like, less institutional. This is critical in the marketing efforts. Along with that comes full services brought through our common area spaces, which include full laundry services. We've mentioned the secured walking environment amongst gardens, which is great for not only the residents, but their visitors. It's a key selling point. There are shelf-developed menus and dietary services served out of our Commons building and full-service kitchens. We'd already mentioned the community dining room, which can also double as an event facility for educational seminars, which also assists us in our marketing efforts. There are daily social and physical activity programs that occur inside and outside the building. And then there's excursions that are taking place that take residents across to the city center, where there are additional activities available, including movie theaters and shopping and other things that are organized events, even for persons with memory care conditions. There are personal care services available through the Wellness Center. We mentioned the air and purification systems, and there's some detailed dementia-specific programming uses within the building, which includes natural lighting that changes through the course of the day in order to prepare persons for sleep, keeps them active during the day and asleep at night, which helps them with their therapies. There are music and hydrotherapies, as well as what we're calling experience therapies. And these can include things such as pet companionship and other therapies and workshops that we can provide through the building services. And then again, on the exterior, there's ambient walkways and gardens and porches for each cottage in varying levels of security. The total project, and I'll let Sean take over on the sources and uses, but from a size perspective, the project is just over 13 acres. The gross building square footage is 96,000 square feet. This is more typical to the types of projects that are built in Florida. Has 120 licensed units, and of those 144 beds. There is sufficient parking on the site, and the construction can start immediately. I had already mentioned that the site was cleared today. Actually, in the last several months, it's been cleared, and today was our final inspection of all of the infrastructure and utilities that have been brought to the site and stubbed up, and is not only ready for construction, we're well into being able to go vertical with construction. And with that, I'll turn this over to back to the team.
Thanks, Darren. Hey everyone, this is Jasmine. I'm going to do my best. I'm suffering with a cold, so if I start coughing, Sean's taking over. Thank you so much for joining today. We're very excited about this project, as everyone has said. It's ready, as Darren said, shovel ready, and we're excited to get it moving. I'm going to touch briefly on the numbers. This is kind of just a high level view of kind of what the project cost is, and know that we have our final bids coming in this week coming up. So we'll be finalizing construction costs, loan amounts, and what have you. So But current land, like Sean mentioned, is owned, recently appraised at 3.2 million. And then we do have some PACE financing secured in place. And then we have a bank that we're working with as well. So we're finalizing our loan, but our construction financing is looking great. We expect the commitment from the bank in the next week or two. I'll just go over here. This is our source and use, which again will change slightly. But all the architectural obviously is done. We've done some site work. We removed all the trees. The site is pad ready. As Darren mentioned, all the utilities are there. There's a road now to our site. Yeah, we are working on finalizing, like I said, all these numbers. We expect total project costs to be about 30 million. Here's our projected revenue. So obviously during our construction timeframe, year one, I know standard kind of lease up timeframe in the villages is about 12 months. We've been conservative. We are a larger facility. And so, we've projected a 20-month fill up timeframe. So that's why our numbers are a little lower in year one, but there is a very good chance we do expect to exceed this, but we like to be conservative on our numbers. So that's our gross revenue for year 1 to 5. You can see there's a very strong cash on cash and great debt service coverage ratio as we go through the project. Sean, you want to, or Darren, if either of you guys want to talk about some of the sample projects that you've done in the villages.
Sure, I can.
Yeah. Hey, Darren. Yeah, maybe you just kind of go through some of these. I know you know them much better than I do, so appreciate
Okay.
it.
Yeah, so we, as Sean had mentioned, we've been in the development and architecture business for over 30 years, and I have personally. So we've completed over 30 million square feet of development in that time period, and I'm proud to say of that, it was all on time and on budget. Some specific projects that we'll point out to that are consistent with this type of memory care design includes many projects in Central Florida, including the villages. When we originally brought this site to this team, we had secured it in an area that is really controlled by the villages itself. And to have a site that doesn't have those kind of controls, but to be right in the middle of the villages is very unique. In fact, it's one of a kind. And some other similar projects like this would include the Live Oak Senior Housing Sarasota projects. There's Fountains of Hope, Ocoee Cottages in Ocoee, Florida, which is a similar memory care facility of 1 story in size. And again, all these were completed on time and on budget throughout the construction period and development piece. And then I'll turn these projects over to Pamela for descriptions. These are operational projects that she has maintained recently.
Pam, you're on mute.
I think she stepped out or something. It sounds like
She
she
may
had an
have.
emergency there.
That's okay. These are just some of the facilities that Pam currently manages in Florida. So she does have local. She manages facilities across the country. These are specific ones in Florida that she's currently managing. This is back to you, Darren. Some of the sample projects that you had.
Yeah, and so these are projects actually that we've worked with Pamela on. So Palm Bay Senior Living was a project that Pamela had brought to us originally, and she did all the operational marketing side to that project from the start, and it turned out to be a very good market. Fountains of Hope in Sarasota, another project that we worked with her initially on, and then Tuscan Gardens was a repeat client. We've actually done since then 2 more projects for Tuscan. and then finally wrapping up in the Central Florida market, the Beach House. And then this year alone, we've completed 2 other projects, one in Jacksonville, Florida, north side, and one in South Florida.
Do you want me to tell you how many projects I have going right now?
Yes, please.
I've got one in Sarasota. I've got one in Texas, and I've got one opening up here in Sierra Vista. So that's 2023, 3 of them opening up. So I could go back to 2022, but it's just a lot of buildings, just a lot of elderly people.
Thanks, Pam. So I'll take this one. We're kind of coming to the conclusion of this, and just want to hit on the high points again. So we feel like the keys to Serenity Villas success, again, is a really strong market for reasons that both Pam and Darren mentioned, with the high concentration of folks that are getting up in age and experiencing health issues, and of course memory issues. So no better place to be other than where those folks are and where the demand is, and then it gives us the ability to offer a solution to the challenges that they're facing at this point in their life.
Is that you, Miss Lacey?
Hey, Pam, you might mute, I think. Okay, we got Pam on mute now. So one other thing that we really didn't talk about yet is, in order to operate these facilities, you have to be licensed to do that. And getting a license to operate these facilities is not an easy thing to do. Only, experienced and reputable operators and owners are able to do that. And that's kind of where our team comes in. We've had to go through background checks and make sure that we meet all the qualifications, check the boxes. And of course, Pam's track record with that, and as well as Darren's, has helped us secure the licensing that we need in order to operate this facility. Again, in the area, big growing need for Alzheimer's and dementia care for the aging population. And then lastly, touching on our team again. We have a big team with lots of experience with different facets. With that comes, hurdles that we've had to overcome in all of our individual businesses that we own and operate. And we feel like we're stronger as a team and can, really lean on each other's strengths to make sure this development is a huge success. So now we're at the point in the presentation where, what is your opportunity for this particular development? I think we all can agree it's going to be an amazing development. We're all excited about it. It's ready to start construction. We have certainly, gotten a few battle wounds as we've tried to get this project up and going through COVID. Had a few hurdles, but we're very close to securing our loan. It's in the underwriting stage. It should be going to committee soon for approval, and we're just ready to get started right away. So we are still looking to fill a gap in financing of about $5 million, give or take. That's probably a little bit more than what we actually need to get it going, but we just want to make sure that we secure enough funding to get the project going. The minimal investment on this is $100,000, and we're offering 2 options. So I'm going to go to option 2 first, which is the same option that all of our other investors have taken advantage of, and that is a 23% return. It's going to offer 80% of the cash flow to the investors. 20% of that cash flow will go to the sponsorship team. If you've invested in real estate before, there's some tax incentives that come along with that with respect to bonus depreciation. We'll be doing cost segregation studies to make sure we're taking advantage of all the depreciation opportunities for this particular investment. So that is, again, an equity investment, and it will be up to 23%. is what we are offering on that. And then, that will come through both cash flow and then return of your investment and profit on your investment once we get this property stabilized and then offer the opportunity for people to get out of this investment. So option number one that's listed on the screen, we felt like it was important to offer another option for this. There are some folks that would rather loan funds to the deal rather than provide an equity investment. So we're offering a loan option that will carry an 18% interest rate. And we are still working through a lot of the details on that. We've been working on it for a long time with Ronnie and his team, and Michael had many calls with the accountants, lawyers, and make sure we're structuring that loan the way that it is supposed to be for this type of investment. We know we have some international investors, and that's part of the reason why we've come up with two different options here. But again, if this is an investment opportunity that you're wanting to take advantage of, I know Michael and Ronnie will be reaching out to you individually, as Michael mentioned, their process and how you get a hold of them and move to the next steps earlier in the presentation. Go right ahead and do that. They'll be able to talk to you individually about your situation and what your needs are. So with that, I think that is the end of our presentation on Serenity Villas, Lady Lake. And I know we're going to have a Q&A session now.
Yeah, so everyone, you can type the questions. I got several questions that I spoke to the team and people who are interested in this project originally, and they sent those over to me. But before that, can we go to the previous slide, Sean, for a second, please? I just want to about the project. So just to confirm, when we talk about the 18% interest on the loan option and 23% or up to projected 23% on the equity option, we're talking about annual returns. Those are not the overall numbers. That's what's projected for the every year. Right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that's correct. So, and going back to pro forma, the duration of the project, when it says on refi principal interest, so when people can get out of the and get their money back, we're projecting approximately around 4 years, between 4 to 5 years, correct?
Correct.
That's right. Yes. So we anticipate, refinancing at that point in time once the property stabilized. That would allow the opportunity to exit from the investment.
Okay. So going to the questions I got before, in terms of starting the project. So you mentioned we're shovel ready. So can you please clarify what was completed and what is still left to be done outside of the loan from development point of view to start the project? There, maybe it's a question to you.
Darren, can you go through and explain what part of the infrastructure work has been completed so far?
Sure.
And the site work.
Yeah. So the off-site work is 100% complete, which included a turn lane for acceleration and deceleration. The road is a heavily traveled road, which is great from a marketing perspective, but it did need a lane to do that. So that's been completed. Also included extra wide sidewalks. The community is built up with lots of golf cart driving. People in the villages typically use golf carts for transportation. So that sidewalk was made large enough to accommodate those vehicles. And so all of the stormwater retention has been dug and placed. The road, loop road, that provides a driveway access all the way into the site and for all parts of the site has been completed. It's a 30-foot wide road, asphalt paved. The building paths have been created. And as Jasmine mentioned, all the trees and vegetation have been removed from the site. So all the compaction's been completed. The geotech testing has been completed. So there are no surprises. The infrastructure is in place from electricity, gas, water, sewer, There's a lift station that serves this site, and that lift station has been constructed and was tested today and put into commission. So we have full utilities. There isn't anything that has not been provided, with the exception of communications, which is fiber optics, and those are available to the site and are at the curb.
Okay.
And the retention pond has also been dug, just to add that.
Yes, yeah, retention pond was dug. So
We got questions coming in, so I'll start with the first one. How long for each option? So I guess we addressed that. So we're talking approximately between 4 to 5 years. The second question is, Ronnie, it's probably to you. What about the long-term ongoing cash flow for memory care operation?
It's like a little bit left, so I either have to trash it or give it away.
Sorry, can you please go on? Yeah, Ronnie. So I guess the question is if would be an option to stay past 4 or 5 years.
Well, yeah, that's a question that we can answer, because the initial investment is to come in and really enjoy the long-term cash flow. And people need to understand that it may be a long-term investment. The option is of the GP structure to buy out the units at any given moment on a 23% annual return. And it's likely going to happen year 3, 4, maybe even 5. I think we have enough time to have conversations later and see if there's an option of staying for a certain percentage for the really long-term hold. But for now, it's long-term with the option of the GP to buy it out at 23% annual return.
Okay, thank you. The next question is about the exit strategy. Jasmine, you want to address that?
Sure. Yeah. So our plan is once the property is stabilized, then we will refinance for most likely a HUD loan or additional bank financing. So at that time, the property will be cash flowing and stabilized, and we'll have the funds available to return investor loan or equity.
Okay. Thank you. In terms of a structure, and I guess it's probably for Canadians, is it, Ronnie, it's better for you to address. Is it going to be an LP or LC, or we can create an entity that's going to invest in another entity? What's your thought on that right now?
So if we're talking equity, it's straight equity to the LP that is current existing.
So it's an LP, not LC.
Yes. Yes.
So those of you who are in Canada, we're investing in LP, so it's a good for tax purposes.
Yes. The loan structure, if there's more need for that, we'll do something similar that we did on previous deals, where we establish a entity that all the lenders will lend the money to that entity, and then that entity will lend the money to the LP.
Okay. So if anyone needs more clarification, please reach out to me. I'll explain to you. We did the structure for loan in 2 other projects, so I can clarify on that. Just have one-to-one conversation with me, and I'll explain how it works, also from the tax perspective. Next question. Does option 2 cover capital gain or just the cash flow from operation? Well, it's a mix. Jasmine is free to cover it. I'm saying it's going to be a mix.
Option 2 cover capital gain or just cash flow.
Meaning once we're stabilized.
Yes, you'll have cash flow from operations. That'll start in year 2. So that would be 80% of that cash flow goes to LPs, 20% goes to GPs. So yeah, you will get cash flow during operations as well.
Okay, so once we start operation.
Yep.
Next question. Both loan payment and the first exit in equity is only after 4 years.
No, we will do distributions, like I said, as soon as the property is cash flowing.
But distribution is going to be for the equity, or the lenders for the option 1 is going to get some distributions as well.
I'm not
or
sure.
yet to be decided.
I think that's yet to be decided. This loan option is kind of a new structure that we've kind of set up with Ronnie to kind of facilitate some of the other investors that would prefer that option. So
I think we'll try to do it unless it jeopardizes the structure of
Yeah.
but we'll try to do it exactly like the equity.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, makes sense. Right, people can get it. Okay, the next question: will there be any distribution during 5-year in the LP option? Yes, we just answered that question. Yes, there are going to be distributions. When you're looking for the funds of $1,100,000 to be received, sharp deadline, please. Well, it depends when the bank provides the loan. So you mentioned the construction starts in May. I don't know if it's feasible. Justin, probably let us know when you expect the bank to provide the loan.
Yeah, I would say funds. We would need funds in the next 30 days.
So sometime in May. That would
Yes.
be the answer.
By mid-May, May 15th.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, another question. What's your target mortgage rate to refinance? Just in case the rate will go up, what is the safe range for the exit? So for the takeout, what do you think the mortgage rate is going to be upon stabilization?
Well, if I had a crystal ball from 4 years from now, I mean, I would imagine rates are going to be down. We're being conservative. I would say, like I said, right now, it's probably 6.5, 7 is kind of a conservative number that we're working with. I do expect rates to come down by that time, but we're being conservative.
Okay, thank you. What is the expected distribution during the option 2? For 5 years for the option 2. That is part of the 23%. Yeah, so I can address that. So the total return is going to be 23%. So whatever you get as part of a distribution is going to be deducted so that you get 23% annual total return.
Michael, you can go back to the slide and it shows, I think, clearly the cash flow percentage-wise. So for every year towards the end of the presentation. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's overall. The question is if it's going to be part of the 23%. So yes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay, I see people typing more. While we wait for more questions to come, so I got one question about the challenges and what were the challenges to get the project going so far up until now?
Yeah, I alluded to it a little bit earlier in the presentation. You know, we really started this endeavor back in 2020, right when COVID hit, and some of the challenges we've had a couple of banks that were lined up ready to close on the construction on this, and then have just backed out for one reason or another. That, you know, the lending requirements got really tight during that time frame. Nobody knew what was going to happen, and so everybody took a step back and decided that you know, let's put it on hold and not move forward until we understand what's going on with this pandemic. You know, one of the other pieces of the financing puzzle that we have here is the PACE financing. It's more of a newer financing structure, and a lot of banks and lenders aren't familiar with it. So our pool of lenders is a little bit smaller than what it would be if it was just all conventionally financed. So finding a lender that's willing to allow the PACE and then, you know, loosen up their restrictions after COVID has been one of the challenges that we face. We feel like we're finally at that point. You know, one of the things that have gotten us over the hurdle with that is by committing to provide more equity into the project and get them a little bit more comfortable. So that's why we're here tonight. That's why we're talking about raising some additional equity for this development to get it across the finish line. But again, just kind of recapping, mainly COVID, as everybody, if you've been doing anything in real estate over the last few years, understand that you know, the challenges with supply chain, materials, labor, all of those things, and just overall uncertainty. Uncertainty just kind of makes any type of investment a challenge. So that's what has been the challenges. We feel like we're through that now, and are excited to get going on this.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Next question. In terms of perspective of investors, do they need to be accredited, sophisticated, or not?
Yes, we do require accredited investors.
Okay, so that's for the US side. What about the foreign investors? Do you know?
We have that part covered with the exemptions of foreign nationals. There's special forms that need to be signed, and it exempts people from the need to show accreditation in the US, and the US doesn't really care about non-US citizens.
Okay. Yeah, so just to summarize, yeah, you need to be accredited for the US. Is there a verification process, or people just need to self submit that they are accredited?
It's a fairly simple process. Either you can have an accountant or attorney. I can provide the letter. They just they fill out this template letter that I have. I also have an easy third party. It's a system that you can go through, and I can send you the link for that, where they would verify that you're accredited, and they would send in a letter that verifies you're accredited investor. So either option, I can provide both.
So just to summarize, for the US accredited, needs to be verified by a third party, but it's very simple verification. And for the foreign investors, we can use the exemptions. By the way, Jasmine, can you use the 401k or the IRA for the US investors? Yes? Okay, thank you. Next question. Do you have the guarantee for getting an approval to operate as a memory care facility? So are they all approvals in place?
I can answer that. We have all the approvals, less the final inspection, which has to be done by ACA, the state. Otherwise, we hold all of the licensing that we need and the numbers of beds. So we have everything other than the final approval, which requires a survey through the building.
And from a construction standpoint, all the facility is completely zoned with zoning letter in hand. And we've received permits in the past year to have full approval of the facility. So we're in 100% good.
Thank you, Dan. Pamela, can you please clarify to people what ACA is? I don't think they know. And when do you think that approval might be in place?
Yeah, ACA is the regulating department in the state of Florida for all healthcare facilities, home health assisted, memory care, independent, skilled nursing facilities. They are the accrediting party that issues the license. And we have received that other than our final visit, which would be in survey form, which is what I just was going through a minute ago when I said yay to Lacey. We just got our license in this building. So it's
good time.
Yeah. It's a group of surveyors. They come annually. Again, we already are holding the license. We have everything except for our final visit.
Okay, thank you. I got one question. I'm not sure I understand it. It says, can you give us a bit more details on the units available to retain in exchange of investment? I guess it's cost of the LP unit, probably. Jasmine, how much is the, if I understand correctly?
Sorry, I'm just reading it. Can you give us a bit more details on the units available to retain? So our minimum investment is $100,000. And what is inclusive at the end of the unit, please? Yeah, I'm not 100% sure I understand the question. But yeah,
let me take it offline. Maybe I'll follow up. I know who's asking, and I'll make sure that this question gets answered. So just to make sure we understand it.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
happy.
we'll take it offline.
I think we need to.
It looks like somebody wants to retain a bed or two for their own use in the coming years.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Another question. Please repeat if 23 is the maximum or can be higher depending on the actual result you mentioned. Ronnie, I think 23 is capped, right? That's the maximum profit that people can get. Yeah, so it's a capped at 23%. Okay, big question.
And he mentioned the 80-20. That means so 80% of the revenue goes to LPs first, and then 20% to the GPs. That's what that 80-20.
Yes, but the question was if it's capped at 23% or not. So
Gotcha.
yeah, it's a cap.
Yes.
Another question. What about the C corporation owned by non-US resident? Will it be US investor for accredited status purposes or foreign one? Okay. Yeah. Roman, we would need to take it offline. It's a specific case for you, I know. Let's follow up offline. It's probably not the right forum to provide a tax advice here. Second question, 23% annual return mentioned in the option 2. Is it preferred return, first hurdle, or is it projected return that comes from 80-20 split? Ron, it's probably for you to address.
The latter.
The latter, yes.
Yes.
So it's a preferred return based on 80-20 split.
No preferred.
Projected. My apologies. It's a
yes.
projected return that comes from 80-20.
Or from 80%.
Yes. Okay. While we wait, there's more questions coming. I wanted to maybe Pamela, it's to you or Darren. It's about COVID. How's the facility is going to be ready for COVID? So in terms of filtration, probably the air quality, to make sure the patients are safe.
I'll let Darren answer that, but I know that when we designed this, we had a very specific filtration system.
Yeah, so it's twofold. Each individual unit has its own air conditioning controlled system. So there are the only air that enters into that room or exits that room, for that matter, goes directly to the exterior, comes from the exterior. So that's unique to pretty much this facility over any other. And then the common area spaces incorporate this cleaning system that I mentioned that NASA had designed. And those are units that are placed within the air conditioning ducts from the fresh air side and treats the air in a process that essentially kills viruses. The benefit for Florida here is it also kills mold. And those are the two common things that we fear most in senior living facilities. So we've got it both tackled. The facility is one of a kind. The only things that we see that are equal to this would be hospitals. In a lot of ways, these are better than most hospitals.
Okay, thank you. I got one more question that came. To be clear on option 1, which is a loan, investment option 1, which is a loan. Probably let me put the slide up. Is the payment only after 4 years at a compound 18% annum? So we covered that, and we said we do not have a final answer yet. The plan would be to match it to the option 2, meaning the payment will start once the project is stabilized and there is income coming in. So not after 4 years, and it's not a compound 18% interest. It's a simple interest in real estate that's used. Hopefully it's clear. One more question, Darren, and there's one more typing. I think we're almost at the end. The land, I know there is a vacant land as part of the site. So in case the project is extremely successful and more beds are needed, is it possible to expand?
All right. So, yeah, great question. And the answer to that is yes. There is sufficient space on the site for expansion, even though I think total of the 30-acre site, there is 415 units available. And of those 415 units, only 290 of the units have been assigned. So there is expansion capability to the site if needed. on the site that's been purchased. In addition to that, there are 2 additional out parcels that are available still that can be purchased for expansion that we currently have control over.
Okay. Okay, I see there's one more question. Let me go over my notes if there's anything else that I missed. It's been amazing webinar, lots of good questions, good answers. One question I got about the construction loan. So let me read it. Does the construction loan include the pre-development, horizontal development cost in addition to the vertical construction cost? So it's a question to you, Jasmine.
Yeah, so we have put money in, obviously our own money in the project already. So yes, it will include up some of it that we have not already covered, and then the rest of the construction cost included.
Okay. Okay, I see one person is typing, has been typing for several minutes. I don't see anything else coming up. I think it's been a great question. I'm sure there will be a follow-up. We'll do one-on-one. So guys, if you've got any additional questions, just send them over to me. Feel free to call me. I can have high-level explanation about the project, about the returns, the options. Whatever I cannot answer, I'm going to forward to the team. Obviously, I'll engage Ronnie. We'll keep you updated on the project, on the schedule, when we're going to start. We'll take it from there. So I'm going also to send the recording of the webinar to all of you, so you can take a look. I'm also going to attach the presentation, so you can do it in your time, your own pace. And again, if you've got any additional questions, just let us know. Oh, there's one more question. No, I didn't get it. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. It's been amazing. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michael, for a good, very good event. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.